But we are going to start with the Mangalachan prayers first. Okay. Let me know when to start. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to the Sunday Feast class today. Thank you for joining us. We will begin the session with the Mangalacharan prayers. You can repeat with me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Saganam Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganam Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nitai Namine che namirhate Shraddha mulye nam dite che re Nitai namine che namirhate Shraddha mulye nam dite che re Jai Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Should I try this, Prabhu? Okay, this works nice. Alright, so we'll get started today. We did the pranam mantras already and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So I'm going to first start with the acknowledgements. My name is Shraddha Devi Dasi, and I wanted to especially offer my thanks to Srila Prabhupada for translating the wonderful Indian scriptures into an English language which I could understand, without which I don't know where I would have been without that knowledge. Also like to acknowledge my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, who always guides and encourages me to reading the scriptures. To His Grace Shivas Pandit Prabhu, who taught me how to read the Bhagavad Gita scrutinizingly, and I'm going to talk about from the Bhagavad Gita in today's lecture. I'd also like to thank my spouse, Rakesh Prabhu, who's sitting on the side, for being very, very supportive and tolerating all the mistakes that I made and all the absences that I that I produce in my service to him. And also to Her Grace Sansapya Mataji, who did the events management, and somehow I got a chance to speak on this auspicious day. So without much ado, I also wanted to have this statutory thing that any pictures from the BBT are being used by their permission here. So I'm going to today talk about Lord Krishna's top 10 teaching techniques that he uses in the Bhagavad Gita. So even before he begins to teach, and even before a teacher comes and teaches a particular topic or a particular class, there has to be some planning that has to be in place. So Krishna also accordingly did some strategic planning before he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, right? And so the strategic planning actually really started from the time when people were still talking about the Mahabharata war and who's going to go on whose side, because it was mandatory in that war that people had to take the sides, either of the Kauravas or of the Pandavas, right? So Krishna had said that he doesn't want to fight, and but he said, people can use my army, and his army was pretty powerful and pretty big. So Arjuna goes there to meet Krishna, and then Duryodhana also goes to meet him. So first Duryodhana goes, and Krishna is sleeping. So Duryodhana, of course, is a prince at that time. He has got some sort of an ego there. So he just goes and stands by the head of Krishna. So as you can see in the picture there, that's Duryodhana's, by his head. And then Arjun comes, and then Arjun goes and looks at Krishna, and obviously he's a devotee, so he just stays near the feet of Krishna. So Krishna is sleeping, and when Krishna wakes up, obviously if you're sleeping and if you wake up, the first thing that you will see will be something which is at your feet, right? And so this desire and this idea that that Arjun should stand at the feet and that Duryodhana should stand on the head also comes and is planted by Krishna. And he says that in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he says that Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahamev vedyo vedanta krit ved videv chaham. So he says, I'm in everybody's heart, and from me the remembrances and forgetfulness, both of them come from me. So if Arjuna was acting in a certain way, it was his desire, but the thought was planted by Krishna, because we all Krishna's machines and we work according to his will. And not a blade of glass moves without Krishna's sanction. So if Arjuna could speak, it comes from Krishna's sanction. Similarly, the same thing with Duryodhana also. So when Krishna wakes up and then he looks at Arjuna and he says, "Oh Arjuna, what have you come for?" So Arjuna said, "I have come to ask for help." And then Duryodhana, characteristic, true to his nature, starts complaining and he says, "I was here first." Arjuna came next. How come you're asking him? So Krishna then said, "But no, I saw Arjuna first. I opened my eyes, so according to me, he's the first person to come." So then he says, "Okay, Arjuna, what do you want?" So he said, "I want you to help in the war." And so Krishna then says, "Well, you know what? You have two choices, right? You can take me, or you can take my army, right?" So he offers what he has, his army, and then what he is himself, right? So Arjuna, of course, his devotee is a smart one. He says, "Krishna, I'll take you." And Duryodhana is overjoyed within, because he was so much worried that, when Arjuna gets the first choice, Arjuna is going to ask for the army, right? So that doesn't happen. So Krishna has nicely planted himself and made arrangements that he is going to sit in the same chariot as Arjuna is going to be seated on, right? And he agrees to become his chariot driver. So that was the strategic plantation that, the teacher comes and sits on the chariot there. And then the Bhagavad Gita, I know most of you already know, but the Sunday feast classes can somebody take care of them? The Sunday feast classes are meant for a wide audience, and we have many people watching us from online. So for their benefit, just wanted to mention that the Bhagavad Gita, which is a song of Krishna, Bhagavad is God, and Gita is a song of Krishna. So this was narrated by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. So although whatever Krishna was speaking on the battlefield, then whatever was happening there, Sanjay is narrating that. And although they are sitting in Hastinapur, and the war is happening in Kurukshetra, right? So it's far away. And yet Vedvyas, who has also compiled this Bhagavad Gita, he had given him divine vision or Durdrishti, so that he can see from far. So it's not that there was a television at that time and then it disappeared. It's not like that. He had special spiritual powers, or not necessarily spiritual, but he had powers to be able to see from far off distance. So he's the one narrating the happenings of Mahabharata to Dhritarashtra. So that's why we will find, as we go through the Bhagavad Gita, that Sanjay is speaking there in the Gita. So, see. So some of the techniques that Krishna is going to use here is, one is dialogue and discourse, right? So that's one of the teaching techniques that we also often use, right? So I really also want this to be a dialogue today in the class and as much participation. So when we start reading the Bhagavad Gita, who is the first person who speaks in the Bhagavad Gita? Loudly. Are there microphones? Can you, Charunmai Prabhu, can you pass on some microphones for us? Yeah, there are people online, they can't hear the answer. Yeah, so can we get some microphones from there? And then you can belt out your answer there. So seems like we are in unison, we are in agreement. Nobody's there. Yeah, but he needs to switch it on from there, yeah. He has to activate it from there. Charunmai Prabhu, wherever you are, whichever room you are, please come and give us the microphones. Anyway, so I don't want to waste time here. So you all said that first it's Dhritarashtra start speaking. The very first question, the very first sloka opens with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dharmashetre Kurukshetre samveta suyutsavaha mamaka pandavascheva kim akurvat sanjaya. So he's asking that in the holy place of Kurukshetra, when my sons, Mamaka, and the sons of Pandu, right? So he's making that distinction there. They assembled here, what did they do? This is the question he's asking. So who starts speaking first? We know it's Dhritarashtra. But then in the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, right, which is major part of the Bhagavad Gita, it's a dialogue. So in that dialogue, who starts speaking first? Arjuna. Arjuna speaks singing. Yeah, why are you shy? So in the beginning, it's Sanjay who's speaking that Dhritarashtra that question, and then Sanjay starts answering that, and he says, okay, you know, the armies had assembled, Duryodhan was there, he looked at the two armies, then he goes to his Acharya, and then he tells his Acharya that, look here, you know, the strength of this army, and then he starts counting and you know, emphasizing that who all are the people on the side of the Pandavas and who are the people on his side, and then Sanjay then starts, you know, narrating that how at the beginning of the war, then the bugles start, you know, blowing. And then as the bugles are blowing, then Krishna and Arjuna, they come in a very nice chariot, which is being driven by Arjuna, and which is being driven by Krishna. And then both of them also blow their conch shells, right? So what are the conch shells that they blow? Krishna and Arjuna? Panchajanya. Who blows the Panchajanya? Rishikesha. Who is Rishikesha? Krishna only, okay. Panchajanya Rishikesha, and then what does Arjun do? Panchajanyam Rishikesha Devadattam Dhananjaya, right? Devadattam. So his conch shell is Devadattam, and there are many other, you know, Mani Ghosh, but also so many are there, right? So then they start blowing the conch shells, right? And then Arjun also starts looking at the assembly there, right? And then Arjuna is the first person to speak. And by the time all this narration happens, we already have covered 21 verses in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So then Arjun starts speaking. So it says, now you can sing with me, okay? Arjunu vacha Seniyorubhiyor madhye ratham sthapayamichyuta yavadita niriksheham yodhukamanavastitan kermaya sahayodhavyam asmin ranasamudyame. No prasadam if you don't sing. There are at least 20 people in this room. I want to hear a lot of more participation. Okay? So then Arjun said, he's addressing Achyuta, which means infallible one. Please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present there who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Right? So that's dialogue that has started happening, and they're having this conversation there. So then he says in the next one, okay, thank you. Right? So he's telling Arjuna, okay, and Arjuna isn't, you know, he's a warrior, he's in a spirit of war, but then he knows that his friend is sitting in front of him, right? So he's in that mood, he says, okay, let's go, you know, and then show me, I want to see, right? Yotsimana veksheham ya etetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddher yuddhe priya chikishavaha. So in the next verse he says that let me see those who have come here to fight. Right? Wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Right? Acharya and my Prabhu, they were looking for the microphones. Okay. Yeah, so he says he wants to have, and that's a very good strategy actually, and which we should also apply. So there's a war, there are enemies, right? So you should examine the enemies first, right? To know that who am I going to contend with, right? What are things? So who are our enemies? Do you have any enemies? Anybody has enemies, or I am the only one with enemies? Nobody has enemies? You want to declare your enemies on Facebook, Zoom, YouTube? No enemies? Devotees don't have enemies. There you go. Right? But what do we fight with then all the time? Use the microphone and please answer. Devotees fight or not? First question.
I think we fight also, but it's because of our own, like the demoniac nature that we have, like lust, anger, pride, envy, all those things we are fighting.
Right. Because we are devotees, we are fighting with the anarthas, and we are fighting the war against Miss Maya. Right? So we fight the war against Maya. So that's a good strategy to do. So we should find out, who my enemies are and who are fighting with them. There he said, right? I want to see who are the ones who are siding with the evil-minded Duryodhana, right? So here also there are certain things that's our mind is our biggest enemy. If it's not controlled, uncontrolled mind is our biggest enemy. And who are the friends of the mind? Like, Duryodhana had so many friends, like Karna was one friend, Like that, so many kings had come and they were helping him. So who are the friends of our biggest enemy, our mind? Who are the friends? The mind itself, okay. And who else?
It's the association that we keep and the sadhana that we do, like the regular practices.
Regular practices, and that's in the good sense, right? That is taking the mind to a higher plane. But while the mind is in the lower plane, not yet Krishna conscious, who are the best friends? They are 10. Us? What is us? Yes.
We ourselves.
And who is that ourselves?
This body.
This body, good. And can you define the body? What is the body made up of? You're almost there.
5 senses.
5 senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses. Right? So there are 5 knowledge acquiring senses. That is eyes, nose, microphone.
Eyes, nose, ears,
Loudly.
mouth, and the skin, the touch.
Is that 5?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, right? It's 5. And then there are 5 working senses also, which are our hands, our legs, our tongue, that does twice the work, right? It tastes and also speaks. So hands, legs, and tongues, and then the reproductive organs and the excretory organs, right? So there are 5. So all these 10 are very good friends of an uncontrolled mind. They'll gather the information, present things to the mind will then create more ideas out of it, and then the working senses will go and help achieve whatever sense gratification we wanted to do, right? So that's also the vigil that we should always be doing on our enemies there. So then Krishna's response. Right, so this is a dialogue that is happening, and then Arjuna just said to his friend that, okay, let's go and see who are these people who we have to fight. And then Krishna's response, we have to examine that scrutinizingly. He says, Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham Samahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pasyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. So when Arjuna speaks this thing, then in the first chapter, Krishna is not speaking in the sense that Sri Bhagwan Uvacha, but this is something that Sanjay is narrating. So Sanjay is saying that when Arjuna said, let's go there, then Krishna, as a true friend, he was a chariot driver. So he drives the chariot bang in the middle of them, and where does he stop that? Bhishma Drona Pamurktaha. So he goes and puts the chariot right bang in front of these exalted people from the army on the side of the Kauravas, right? So in the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Right? It's a simple statement, Look. But then he chose the proper words. Remember, Krishna has got an agenda in speaking the Bhagavad Gita. What do you think was the agenda Krishna had? Vijay Prabhu, please. Microphone, somebody.
To convince Arjuna to fight, to have Yudhisthira as the king.
To make Yudhishthira the king, right? And it is in alignment with what he will also speak later on, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, right? So that was his purpose, and that was his immediate purpose, as you see on the face of it, that the war is going to happen, the Bhumi had actually gone and complained to Krishna, and we read that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And she has said that there is so much of bad things that are happening, and I want some relief. So he said, okay, I will come there. I'll incarnate. So his main agenda was definitely to get rid of this burden on the earth and also to take care of the devotees. And then not only was his plan a short-term plan, he also was looking far out. Because he has come here towards the end of Dwarka. And as soon as the Dwapar Yuga, and as soon as the Dwapar Yuga ends, then Kali Yuga is going to start. And the people who are born in Kali Yuga are very typical. They're very different from those who are in Dwarka, right? So he knew that, not good times are going to come. And then we also hear from his mouth only later in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that although he has spoken this Bhagavad Gita many times, the first time he says, he spoke to the sun god Ishvaku and so on. He spoke it to Manu and so on and so forth, right? So, but he says that this knowledge that is being transferred from him, it gets destroyed over a period of time. And which happens in our life also. Somebody says something, and by the time they say it to somebody else, it gets distorted a little bit. Then it goes to the 4th person, gets distorted a little bit. For those of you, and most of you are from the Silicon Valley, and you know that when you develop software, the user wanted something, said something, and finally, by the time going through the analysts and the business process analysts and the designers and the coders and the QA, finally, when the product shows up, it's like, I didn't ask for that. So it goes so much of transformation. So the word have got a tendency to be distorted. And so that's going to be distorted. And he knew that it was distorted. And he wanted to re-establish that. So, right? Dharma sansthapanarthaya. So his purpose was also to establish that. And he also knew that we are the jivas who are going to take birth here in the Kali Yuga. And many more to come. There's still so many years left in the Kali Yuga. And so he wanted to also make sure that he speaks to us, right? I mean, Arjuna, we all know, is a devotee of the Lord. Arjuna doesn't really need to hear the Bhagavad Gita, right? It is all a drama. And Krishna is a big drama person, right? He'll always do drama, right? If you ask for God for something and say, God, please, I want this. And, he will, please save me, I'm falling from a cliff. And nothing will happen. Somebody will push you down the cliff, but then as soon as you're about to hit your head on the ground, then he'll come and save you. That's Krishna. He leaves the drama till the last moment. So he and Arjuna are playing this act actually for our benefit so that we can hear these golden words, right? Because Krishna doesn't come in Kali Yuga in the form of Krishna. So that was his strategy, short term and long term as well. And so when he goes, and when Arjuna tells him to put the chariot in between the two armies so that he can see who has come there to fight, he speaks these words, which we just heard, but now we're going to look at those words again. He said, Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham Cha Mahikshitam, Sanjay saying, Uvacha Partha Paschyatam. He says, oh Partha, right? Samvetan Kurun Iti. So he could have also said, look at all the warriors, Yodha iti, or something like that he could have said. But he uses the word Kuru, right? Kurun iti. So Kuru basically is his dynasty. Arjuna is also coming from the Kuru dynasty, right? It's a different thing that the Dhritarashtra in the beginning doesn't say that. He says, Mamaka Pandavas Cheva. So Pandavas are different, and my sons are different, but they're all Kurus, right? They all belong to the Kuru dynasty. So these verse, the very fact that he said Kurun, And then he says, look. And then I said, you also said that the eyes are the biggest enemy of the uncontrolled mind. Right? So his eyes are going to fall on the Kurus who are there. And then his mind is going to be completely distorted when he sees that. Right? It's a very rightful choice of word. And look at the impact of what happened, right? So as you see, few verses down, there Arjun could see within the midst of armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wisher. So we got almost everything covered over here, right? So this is what Arjun is seeing. This is what his eyes are taking him. And that's what he's seeing there, right? His people, these are mine, Mamaka. So Arjuna also seems to be infected by the Mamaka syndrome, right? He's also got that, right? Anybody wants to read the 1.27 close to the microphone? Who has a mic there?
You want to read the first paragraph?
The second one, yeah. Thank you, Vijay Prabhu.
When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Right. So now we see Arjuna is overwhelmed with compassion. Now the last thing that a Kshatriya should be undergoing just before a war is compassion, and that too for the other party. Right? He's not going to go anywhere. I mean, Kshatriyas are known to be, they speak harsh words, they speak strong words, they are full of energy, full of strength, and they're about, ready to kill, right? They'll say, I'll drink your blood. That's the kind of language that Bhima used, right? So, but Arjuna is all full of compassion. And Krishna's, strategy is met. Because he wanted Arjuna to go into that situation, to undergo those emotions and then be ready to listen to the Bhagavad Gita. So then Arjuna, once he sees all that, then obviously eyes are seeing something, and then his tongue is going to speak. Like I said, uncontrolled mind has got friends, right? So he speaks. So for how long does Arjuna speak? 1 verse, 2 verse? First chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? He speaks for a very long time. From 21, where he said that, show me, take the chariot to the place where everybody is, assembled to fight. I want to see who are the evil sons of Duryodhana who have come to fight with me. All the way from there, all the way up to 45, and there are 46 verses. So almost till the end, he's speaking. And except for 25, 26, and 27, well, Sanjay will come in and, narrate something happenings over there, right? So Arjuna is overwhelmed. He's completely overwhelmed with lamentation because he's saying, how can I kill them? This is my father, and then he goes on a long discourse. Right now, it's Arjuna who's Arjuna who's actually trying to teach Krishna, and he's saying, but I have heard that if the elders of the family are killed, what happens to the family tradition? If the family tradition is lost, then the women fall down. If the women fall down, then unwanted progeny is produced, and so on and so forth, right? And so who will give the Shraddha? Who will do the Shraddha ceremony if all the boys are killed? And so on. He gives a long, discourse to Krishna there. And his lamentation, how can I do that? How can I kill? How can I kill? Okay, it's better that, I just give up everything, right? How can I, it's better that, I just die, or let them enjoy, Kinno bhogena rajena. How can I, enjoy these things, spoils of the war, after I kill my beloved grandfather, Bhishma, my teachers, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, how can I do that, right? He's completely overwhelmed with lamentation. The Gandiv, which he's so famous for, right? He takes the Gandiv, and the Gandiv, he puts it on the back of the chariot, right? And he actually goes and sits at the back of the chariot. He's completely, look at Arjuna, he's holding his head. He's like so much overwhelmed with the situation. So then when Krishna sees Arjuna in this kind of a situation, so in this dialogue that happened, so there was a dialogue happening. It was a one-sided dialogue. It was a monologue, right? Because Krishna has not spoken yet, right? I mean, he did speak, but via Sanjay's narration, he said, Paschitan Kurunati. And so Krishna is now going to give him personalized guidance. So that is the second teaching technique that Krishna uses in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame sam upastitam anarya jushtam asvargyam akirti karamarjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy." Right? So, the teachings that Krishna is going to give to Arjuna are tailor made according to Arjuna's psyche, Arjuna's mood, Arjuna's personality. Right? And we all have a little bit of Arjuna in us. A few of the traits of Arjuna are also there in us. So we benefit from that. Right? But now he's going to give him some special one-on-one tuition right, directly to Arjuna. Right? So he's Bhagavan Upacha. He's saying, from Arjuna, from where have these impurities come upon you, right? So, which is basically, he's not putting Arjuna down. He's not saying, hey, lamentation, you are a Kshatriya, what are you doing? He's not saying anything like that, right? He's saying, well, where have these come? And basically that means that he's saying that I'm not expecting these to come of you. I hold you at a higher pedestal as a person who will not have these kind of impurities. And the impurity is that he's thinking in the bodily concept of life. He's thinking, this is my father, this is not his father was dead, this is my grandfather, this is my maternal uncle, my friend, so on, mine, and connecting with them through the body. He was completely forgetting that all these people were on the side of the evil. He was refusing to see that. And so when I said that the uncontrolled mind's best friend is the eyes, then your senses actually go and see whatever the mind wants to see. It's a new thing. We think that the eye sees something and everything is out there. As soon as physics teaches us that as soon as light falls on something, then you see it, right? But sometimes you don't even see. Right? They say, you can't see, eyes hai, button hai, kya hai, right? You get scolded like that. So it is actually the mind that is planting the ideas, and our senses are actually governed by the mind, and they are constantly searching. They're constantly searching for the objects. So the object of the eyes is the form. It's looking for form. The eyes don't look for smell. The eyes cannot taste, right? So they're looking for objects. So Arjuna already had that thing in his mind, that I'm going to fight with my relatives. And then as soon as Krishna said, look at them, all that he sees is my relatives. He doesn't see any of the other things there at all, right? So then Krishna is saying that, from where have they come? Kutasva kashmalamidam. From where has this dirt come into your mind, right? Anarya jushtam. So he's saying that you are an Aryan. An Aryan civilization was the civilization that knew about the existence of the spirit and the difference of the spirit and the distinction of the spirit from the body. So he's saying you are an Arya. And what you're doing is anarya, opposite of Arya. Right? So anarya jushtam, asvargyam. And then here is the, carrot. Asvargyam means when a person does like that, when a Kshatriya says, I'm not going to fight, he doesn't go to the heavenly planet. Now for the Kshatriyas, there are two things. Either you fight, you win, and then you enjoy on this planet. If you fight and you lose, and you die, then you go to the heavenly planets. In both the cases, they enjoy, either there or they enjoy here, right? The Kshatriyas. So he's saying, asvargyam. If you do this, you will not go to the heavenly planets. So he's trying to convince Arjuna from all possible angles, right? So if you had a little desire, you won't be able to go to the heavenly planets. Akirti karam Arjuna. Now Arjuna is very, very famous, right? By this time, the Mahabharata war has gone. He has won the war, the hand of Draupadi, right? He's known as a well-known archer. He has, fought with so many people, defeated so many people, so on and so forth, right? So he has got he's very famous. He's got a fame to him. And then he's saying, but if you don't fight, it is akirti karam Arjuna. Your act is going to bring akirti, infamy to you, right? So he's trying to, speak the words that align with Arjuna's personality and his thoughts and his situation there. Then he also says later on in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm just telling you the techniques that he uses, right? So way down in the last chapter 18th of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna tells Arjuna about the various modes of material nature that he had covered in 14, but then he now talks about it, how people who are under the different modes of nature, how they behave and how they are classified, right? The varnas, how they're classified. So if you are in goodness, then you are a person in the mode of goodness is? Microphone. No points if you answer on without a microphone. If you are in the mode of goodness, then you are?
Satvik.
You are sattvic, right? And what is your varna?
Brahmana.
You are a brahmana, correct, yeah. Right, so you're a brahmana. So then, if you are in the mode of passion, then you are a kshatriya. So kshatriyas are full of passion, full of want to do. If they find something is wrong, they have to set it right? And they will do it with a lot of pomp and glamour and show and energy. They will do it like that, right? So there's a lot of passion in them. So in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Svavajena kanteya nibaddha svena karmana kartum nichasi yanmohat karishyasya avashopitat. Anybody wants to give us the translation for this?
Under illusion.
A little louder.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
Right? So again, he's now telling Arjuna that no matter, he was saying, by the time it's chapter 18, he had already said that, it's better for me to give up. I cannot kill my teachers. I will just, beg and I'll live like that. But Krishna is telling him that, Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas have got a certain nature. So although now you are under the mode of illusion, you're thinking these are all my relatives and I should not kill them and they will die and things like that. But then you know what? You are fighting against your own nature. You are thinking you'll be able to go and beg for alms. It's a big thing to go and beg. I mean, our weekend warriors, they go and beg door to door every weekend. Hats off to them, right? Trying to distribute Bhagavad Gita, trying to give Bhagavad Gita to people for free. And then what happens? The door is shut on their face, right? And then ask them for donation, forget about it, right? No change, no this, no that, like that. So it is a big thing to beg. And can you imagine if Arjuna was to go for a begging and he knocks the door and he asks for some alms and a person says, you get out, you useless fellow. What is Arjuna going to do? He's going to draw his sword and he's going to slash off his neck. That's what Kshatriyas are. And so that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna, that now you're telling me this, but Arjuna, it won't happen. You will, you'll be hurt so bad inside, or you'll be raging and seething with anger so bad inside you that, you'll be compelled by the nature that you have, that, you will be compelled to fight, So, better don't give that up, right? Then he also says, so this was all okay, Kanteya, like Kanteya means Kunti, so you are my aunt's son, so we are relatives, and we are also friends, and all that kind, and then I'm trying to speak words according to, your nature and the circumstances, and looking into the future, and all that kind of stuff, right? But then Krishna also speaks some really harsh words to wake Arjuna up, because Arjuna has done something really, really not becoming him. He has put aside his Gandiva when all the conch shells have been blown. The war has started, and now you are chickening out. This is totally uncalled for. So he speaks some very harsh words to Arjuna, right? And so in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Klebyam asma gama partha naitattvai upapadyate shudram hridaya dorbalyam tyaktutishta parantapa. Any takers for translation?
O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy.
Oh, chastiser of enemy. Thank you so much. Yeah, so there's so many things that he's saying over here to Arjuna, in so many ways he's addressing him. But the harshest and the strongest he's saying, O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. So you can imagine calling a man impotent, and then of all that, calling a Kshatriya as an impotent, right? So that's really, really shaking Arjuna from his heart. But then Krishna has got this dual way of, instructing Arjuna, he'll shake him, but he'll also support him, right? So in the same verse, he's also using the word son of Pritha. That is, adding a little value to Arjuna. You're son of Pritha. You cannot be Klabyam. It cannot happen to you. Something wrong is happening over there, right? Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. So he's putting some positive hopes in Arjuna. He's backing him up. You are chastiser of enemy. You are the one who has never been defeated. So why are you saying you don't want to fight the war here? Go ahead, fight the war, right? So arise, O chastiser of enemy. But Arjuna still has got some doubts. So it's beginning of chapter 2, tam tata kripiya vishtam ashnupurna kulekshanam. Ashnupurna kulekshanam, Arjuna is crying. Kshatriya is crying, like too much. This is getting too much, right? So that's why he shakes him and he says, Klabyam masmakara partha, get out of that impudence, right? But Arjuna is friend, and we don't listen to our friends sometimes. You have friends who don't listen? Yes or yes? Right? So friends won't listen because we take our friends for granted. They are saying it doesn't matter, Our friend says, something is happening to my health, and friend says, cut down on carb. Like, oh, fine, You'll convince the friend why you need the carbs. But then when you go to the doctor and he says the same thing, right? We will listen like that. So friends are always taking for granted, and Arjuna still has got some doubts, which is a good thing. He has got doubts. Doubting is a function of intelligence. So doubts are thoughts, right? And those thoughts are actually planted by the intelligence. So if a person has got doubts, it means he has got intelligence. The intelligent tattva, the buddhi tattva plants the doubts. So he's thinking pros and cons, good and bad, this and that, right? That's why he's got some doubts there, right? So he is now saying, Arjuna is saying that, Guru nihatva hi mahanubhavan, right? So he says gurus, but you're asking me to kill them in the war, right? If I kill them in the war, shreyo bhaksham bhogan api haloke. He says, it is better for me than to kill my gurus. It is better for me to beg. Because if I kill these people, hatvartha kamans guru niheva. If I kill these gurus, and I know kamans, that these gurus are overcome by lust, which is desire for economic gain, right? That is why Kripacharya did not say anything in that assembly where they were trying to disrobe Draupadi. They kept quiet, right? Bhishma Dev also kept quiet because he said, I'm tied to the kingdom. Like that, they all kept quiet. Drona, Kripacharya, they were on the payroll of Duryodhan. So you're on the payroll of Duryodhan, why would you say anything to them, right? So he's saying, although they are, hatvar tu kamansa guru niheva. So although they are, inclined to enjoy materialistic gains, they are on the wrong side. But they are my gurus. How can I kill those gurus? Right? Because if I kill them, right, then all these things that I will enjoy, if I kill them, I will win the war. Then all this Hastinapur and all of India will be mine, right? And India was big at that time. All of this will belong to the Pandavas. But if we enjoy this, then we'll be enjoying things which are tainted with blood. The hands are tainted with blood, right? There's this famous story. How many of you have read Macbeth? Somebody had to read Macbeth in school, college? No? Okay. Well, so we used to read Shakespeare's, we were forced to read actually, Shakespeare's abridged novels and his plays, and one of them is Macbeth. And the story of Macbeth in a couple of words, you know the story? Okay. You heard about it? You don't remember? Okay. So then I'll narrate it to you. So this is Bhagavad Gita class and I'm narrating Shakespeare. So in Macbeth, what happens is that there's a king and his wife is in love with the king's younger brother. So the two of them gang together and they kill the king. So when the king is killed, obviously, nobody knows. They did it in such a nice way. The king is killed. And so obviously the younger brother becomes the king. And then that was a rule at that time that he will marry the widow. So he marries him. So then everything should be nice and good, right? You got what you wanted. But their guilty conscience was so much there that they would get up in the night and they would be washing their hands because they would see blood stains in their hands. So such is the mind when you do something like that. The same thing, that Arjuna spoke so many years ago. Shakespeare, narrated that in his stories. Maybe he read the Bhagavad Gita. So he says, my hands will be tainted with blood. We cannot do that. So he has got these doubts in his mind, and he's saying that, right? But however, somehow at this point, something is happening to Arjuna, all this grief, looking at all these things, and all this jostling that Krishna has done, and bringing him out of the stupor that he seems to have landed himself in. But then he still surrenders to Krishna. And he says, Shishyasteham shadhi mam tvam prapannam, right? Which is the biggest, line which is kind of going to shift the tide in the other direction. Because he says, I am a disciple of yours and a soul surrendered unto you. Prapannam is surrendered. So it's a big shift there, right? So Sanjay says, Evam uktva Sanjay uvacha, Evam uktva rishikesham, gurakesha parantapa, na yotsya iti govindam, uktva tushnem bhabuvaha. So he surrenders, he says, Shadi mam tam prapannam, and you are my guru, fine. But then he says, I will not fight. Na yotsyami, yotsayati govinda means I am not going to fight. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, the one who has chastised all enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, which is like the worst possible sentence that anybody can speak in the war, especially when you are leading it. And then he fell silent, right? So the thing to note over here is that he fell silent. That's the important thing. That before the guru, you should remain silent and stupid, right? Krishna is smiling now. It says, Prahasan, in the coming verses, in the verses after that, it says, Prahasan, Krishna is smiling. Why Krishna is smiling? Because now the rapport has been set up between the two of them. Because spiritual knowledge, which Krishna intends to give to Arjuna, spiritual knowledge comes by the descending process. Right? Up until now, what was happening? It was a one-to-one thing. And mostly, one-sided. Arjuna spoke for how many verses? 21 to 45, right? Minus 3. Like, it didn't allow Krishna to speak anything at all, right? So the most important thing is that to know when we should keep quiet. And Vaisheshika Prabhu the other day was saying that better not to speak, cut down your speech by 20%. You won't lose anything. So go on a 20% discount on the speeches. In fact, somebody was emphasizing the importance of speaking enough, speaking concisely, precisely, and short, right? He said, now this is not scientifically proven, but at least the emphasis was there. So I'm going to repeat what he said. So he said that if the words that we speak, right? If all the words that we speak, prajalpa, no prajalpa, right? Gossip or no gossip, all the words that we speak in 1 year, right? So words, when we speak the words, there is sound energy there, right? Now energy can get converted, right? From one sort of energy to another type of energy. Can you give me an example of energy conversion that you see in your life? Any energy that gets converted into from one type to another type on the microphone? On the microphone?
Solar to electric.
Solar to electric, very nice, yeah. Any other example? That's a good and a cheap way of getting electrical energy.
Potential to kinetic energies.
Potential to kinetic energy. There's a physicist sitting here in the front row. What is this microphone doing? Sound, right? It's amplifying the sound. So sound from electricity, we're getting sound, right? And then what about the cooking range in the home? Electrical cooking range, right? It converts electricity into heat, right? So these energies are interchangeable. So he said that if all the sound that you produce from all the words that you speak in 1 year, if all that sound energy was to be converted into heat, it would not be able to heat up half a cup of coffee. So that's the value of our words, right? Our words, mundane words, right? So now Arjuna has fallen silent. He says, I don't want to speak anything more, right? So then now Krishna is going to speak, continue to speak the Bhagavad Gita. Now Arjuna is allowing him to speak. And then as he speaks, now he's going to use more techniques of teaching, metaphors and symbolic language. So, metaphors. He's going to use the metaphor of old clothes and new clothes. Anybody remember what verse is that? Old clothes and new clothes? Vashamsi Jirnani. What's the number? Okay, it's a number that you cannot forget. 2.22, right? 222. Okay? Okay, all together. With lot of energy. Okay? Come on. Vashamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanya anyani samyati navani dehi. So what's the meaning of that? Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Anybody in the middle row wants to take a chance and read?
As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So metaphors make us easy to understand, right? So now the first thing that one of the things that he's saying is, as a person puts on new garments, he's trying to ease it out for Arjuna. So Krishna's teaching to Arjuna are also full of compassion. After all, Arjuna is Krishna's devotee. So Arjuna will have compassion for his devotee, right? So although he's speaking harsh words, he's going to tell him the truth, etc., but he's going to tell it to him in a more palatable way. So he's saying, well, this means grandfather Bhishma, you're so attached to him and you're worried that he's going to die, but he's old cloth, right? He's old cloth. And then just as you don't feel anything bad about getting out of old clothes and purchasing a new set of clothes. Right? Similarly, the soul also leaves one body and enters another body. Right? So all this is happening. Bhishma Pitama is going to leave his body, he's going to get another one. So don't feel bad about it, right? Now, looking at this, to me it looks like the first picture is actually the new cloth, right? The fashion these days. But anyway. Right, so he's giving similes. Bhagavad Gita is full of similes. I've just picked up a few of the verses that I liked. Oceans and rivers. Which verse talks about oceans and rivers in his metaphor that he uses, the comparison. Okay, together, 2.70. Apuryamanam achila pratishtham samudramapaha pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. What does it mean? Okay, Pavni Bhakti is going to tell us. Okay. What's your name, Mataji?
Paris.
Oh, Paris Patel. Oh, right. Okay.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter the rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Thank you. Right, so he's giving the simile of, you look at the sea, right? The sea is so calm. And if you see the rivers that come, they come gushing from the mountaintop, so full of passion. And the ocean is equivalent of mode of goodness, right? So even though so much of water pours into the ocean, right? Similarly, so many desires keep on pouring in ourselves, right? And what he says is that try to be, when desires come and hit you, when your enemy mind is just planting desire after desire, thought after thought, which you are like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know I was capable of even thinking such nonsense, right? So when you are going through this, remember this. Try to be like the ocean and do not get agitated by these desires. right? Because what he says is the person who tries to be like the samudra will stay calm like the samudra, and not a person who is trying to fulfill these desires. Because the moment you try to fulfill a desire, what happens? When you're happy, you go to sleep nicely? Another one comes in. Who said that? Thank you. Another one comes in, right? And it just goes on and on and on, and we keep on asking for one thing after another, one thing after another, and we will get our wishes and we'll regret that. So there's this story of this very nice couple. They were very much in love with each other, young, made for each other. They understood each other. They, wept together, ate together, did everything together, all that stuff. So then their 25th wedding anniversary came, right? And so then they said, okay, let's go and have dinner. So they go to have a dinner in some, a yacht, which is bang in the middle of a river, so it's floating, and they're having the dinner there. So they went to have the dinner there. So they go and they get their seat. And as they sit and they pick up the menu, they open the menu card. And as soon as they open the menu card, a fairy comes out of the menu card. And so they are so surprised, and they're asking like, oh, who are you? And so she said, well, you have been such a nice couple. I just want to grant you some wishes. So you wish, what do you want? So, these are 25 years old. Marriage is 25 years old. So approximately, husband could be 50, wife could be 45, like that, right? So then they said, okay, you ask what you want. So the husband turns to the wife and says, okay, dear, you ask her and try to get your wishes fulfilled first. So then she says, okay, I want to have, me and my husband to have a long life, and we want to have riches, we want to have, money and nice place, and we continue to do the good thing that we do, like that. So she asked for that, and the fairy says, yes, that's good. And then she turns to the husband, and he says that, what do you want? So she said, yeah, whatever my wife has asked for, that's all good, and you have granted, that's also good. And I also want to have good health. She missed on that point. So, and I also want to have good friends around me. She said, why? He said, granted. And they said, I also want one thing, that I want my wife to become 35 years younger than me, so that I can enjoy even more. So the fairy said, granted. Now you are an 85-year-old man. So be careful of what you ask for, right? But this mind will keep on coming like that. Don't try to satisfy your material senses too much, right? They'll lead you to nowhere. Then on the metaphors, Krishna also talks about the inverted tree. What is the inverted tree metaphor he uses? Which chapter of Bhagavad Gita? It's our favorite chapter. Anyaprashan. At every first grain ceremony, we recite the whole
15.
chapter. 15 chapter, right? The very first verse. Urdhamulam adashakam ashvatam prahuram vyayam. I don't know if I put that there. Yeah. Okay, let's all do that together. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhamulam adashakam ashvatam prahuravyayam Chandamsi yasya parnani yastam ved savedavid. Speakers. The supreme, okay. Next time I'll give you, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Pavni Bhakti. There are more verses coming. I'll give her a chance then.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
The Vedas, right? So what's the simile he's drawing? What's the metaphor? This imperishable banyan tree with its roots down, what is the equivalent of that? What is he trying to portray there in this verse? The material world, yeah, correct. Yeah, right? And then he's also saying upward branches down whose leaves are the Vedic hymns, right? That's also another metaphor that he's drawing here, right? And one who is a knower of the tree, if you understood this tree, if you understood this material world, then you have known the Vedas, right? But life doesn't stop at the Vedas, right? from the superficial knowledge that we have from the Vedas, life doesn't stop there. If you follow all the rituals which are mentioned in the Vedas, which basically tell you about dharma, artha, kam, and moksha, right? How to do your religiosity, artha, right? How you will get many material benefits, right? How your desires are going to be fulfilled, and how you will ultimately get liberation, right? Only liberation. But then bhakti goes beyond the Vedas, or bhakti goes and looks at that part of the Vedas which are hidden or which are conveniently ignored by us because we are just focused on dharma, artha, kam, and moksha, right? Otherwise Krishna says, Vedesta sarver aham eva vedo, Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. From the Vedas I am to be known, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the knower of the Vedas, right? So if we pursue the Vedas correctly, then we will get to know Krishna as well, right? So one who knows the tree superficially, or even one who knows the real essence of the Vedas, is the real person that we should be aiming for, right? Then he also gives the metaphor of field and the knower of the field. Which chapter is that? Chapter 13, thank you. Right, so he says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidhiyate etadyo veti tam prahur kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Okay, can you pass the microphone to the lady there? Mataji, what's your name? Barkha. Okay, well, thank you, Barkha, for volunteering. We need more volunteers. There are more verses coming up.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field."
Right. So, what is the simile that he's drawing, metaphor he's using, Krishna? This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field. So that's one. This body is the field. And one who is a knower of the field. One who knows this body is a knower of the field. So who is the knower? The soul is the knower. Okay. And who else knows? Super soul, right? And of course Krishna also, right? Even from outside the body he knows us all, right? So what's the difference between soul and the super soul in this context of the field? Soul is what? Soul is the field, yeah. But my question was for knower of the field. So I was saying that we said that there are two knowers of the field. There is the soul knows the field, knows the body, and the super soul knows the body, right? So what's the difference between the two knowers? Microphone, I can't hear anything without the microphone. Yeah, thank you, Avantika. Anapaini, sorry.
The super soul is the observer, and the soul is the one that faces the karma.
The soul faces the karma, super soul is the absorber, that is one. Okay, what else? What else is the difference?
So, the soul is the knower of the field of its body, but the super soul is the knower of all the bodies.
All the bodies, yes, very correct. And anything else you wanted to add? Yeah. So how much do we know about the body? Do you know the color of your liver right now? Where the food is in the intestines? Is it the first 20 feet? Or we don't know. We don't even know about our body, right? We don't even know about the body, and Arjuna was talking for 25 verses in the first chapter to Krishna. Right? So that's a simile that he's drawing there. And then not only that, there are so many others that he will give examples, right? How a tortoise, how do you be like a tortoise? How a tortoise draws all the limbs inside. Similarly, you should draw your senses. There's so many similes, I just picked up some, right? Then we'll also notice that as Krishna is teaching Arjuna, he's also going to give emphasis on and use certain names of, Arjuna has many names. Arjuna, what else? Kaunteya, yes. Partha, yes. How else does he address? Dhananjaya, Mahabhahu, right? So all these names he gives them. So Kaunteya, he's used the word Kaunteya. We've seen that in so many of the verses that I brought together. He's used the word Kaunteya there. So Kaunteya is emphasizing the lineage and the heritage. Lineage, you are coming from the family of Kunti. So don't do what you're thinking of doing. Then heritage. Heritage is inheritance, what you're going to inherit. So legally, they are supposed to get the kingdom, right? So he's reminding you are from that family. So don't give up the war. It belongs to you. The stuff belongs to you, right? He's also establishing a personal connection. We are cousins, right? Then encouragement and motivation, right? If we were to tell like that, okay, I have no family, nobody knows my family, like that, so you'll be discouraged. But if you tell, hey, you know what, you belong to the family, you're, son of Srila Prabhupada, like that, So he's giving him encouragement, hey, you are Kanteya, you are the son of Kunti. And then contextual reminder, he's setting the context. You remember Kunti, how she went into the forest because of Duryodhan, how much she suffered there, all those things, then he will remember when he uses the word Kante. So he'll use that different kinds of modes of addressing Krishna according to the emphasis he wants to put on what he's trying to convey to Arjuna there. Right? Exposition of spiritual knowledge, right? So now you know that he has already said that you are my guru, Sishya Siddham, and Tushnim Bhava, he has also fallen silent. Right? So now he's going to, Krishna is going to speak, and now he's going to give him spiritual knowledge. The first thing that he says is, Natva evaham jatu nasam, natva me janadapaha, na cheva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayam athaparam. Who wants to read? Anapaini, thank you.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
Cease to be. So now he's giving him the spiritual knowledge, but you see, bang, right in the middle, what he has done is he's gone and touched that point of which was bothering and addressed that point which was bothering Arjuna the most. His biggest worry at that time was what's going to happen? They're all going to die. So immediately the first thing that he says is, there was never a time when I did not exist, never a time that you also did not exist. And then there is hope in the future that there will never be a time when you will cease to exist, or all these kings are going to cease to exist, right? Like that. So he's calming him down and saying, assuring him that, look here, there's nothing wrong that's going to happen if you find the war, right? And then he'll continue on that. Many, many verses here. He's going to talk about the nature of the self, the soul. So many verses. Chapter 2 will describe. He'll continue to describe that further. Difference between the body and the soul. One is perishable, one is not perishable. The soul cannot be dried, cannot be cut to pieces. No weapon. All that concealed type karma, the consequences of your karmic reactions. He's going to talk about that. He's going to give him Sankhya, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. And then modes of material nature, These are some of the things that he'll continue now. Now why? Because Arjuna is silent. Now Krishna can speak. So he speaks for many, many chapters, and he's also going to give him practical advice. Right? That's the fifth technique that he's using. Karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karm phalaheturbhur ma te sango swakarmani. Says you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. And this is an advice that he's giving not only to Arjuna, it's an advice, very good practical advice for us as well. Because the moment we sit down to do any endeavor, we are always thinking and focusing on the result. And when the result does not match our expectation, the lamentation starts, right? So he's telling him this, right? The second thing also advice, he says, Bhayadranad uparatam mamsyante tvam maharataha yesham chatvam mahabaho bhutva yasyasi laghavam. So the great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only. So here you are out of compassion and goodness, and I'm a good man, I won't fight, I'll go and beg and I'll give all the things to let the Kauravas take it, that's fine, I'm their brother, how can I kill, my hands will be tainted with blood, and all those things that Arjuna is saying. He said, you know what, if you leave this is what's going to happen to him. Very, very practical advice is given to him. And then you are a Kshatriya, you won't like it at all, right? Then he also emphasizes on the fact that when you teach, you should teach by example, right? So he's telling Arjuna that, look here, you are Arjuna, you're standing in the world, the whole world is looking at you, it's CNN, BBC, everyone is looking and watching this war there, right? So then he gives an example of King Janaka, and he says that King Janaka, he just achieved perfection just by doing his duty. So you are a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. Right? So you do your duty. Like that, right? Yad yad acharati shreshthas tat tad evetaro janaha sa yad pramadam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, what happens? Common men follow. Right? That's what happens, right? That's why we follow all the film stars, right? We're common men. Right? Okay, that person is now parting the head on the side, I should also part it on the... She wears a sari like that, I should also wear the sari like that. We just follow them, right? Whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues, right? So it's not just great people are film actors. Here is a great person sitting right next to us, Srila Prabhupada. We should follow his example, right? Then teaching through near impossibility. It's a new and a very interesting technique that Krishna uses. And this is in the 6th chapter, which is Dhyana Yoga. Right? Now we have to remember that Krishna's goal of speaking the Bhagavad Gita, of course, he wanted to fight paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha duskritam, all that he wanted to do, but he really wanted to preach Bhakti Yoga. He will talk about Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Raj Yoga, whatever yogas he'll talk. But basically he wanted to understand, because at the end of every chapter he says, Bhakti Yoga is the best, like that, right? So he teaches through near impossibility. That's in the Dhyan Yoga. What does he say in chapter 6? Well, to perform Dhyan Yoga, you have to go to a clean place. Where do you find a clean place? Right? Okay, maybe up in the Himalayas. A quiet place. You have to give up all attachments. You have to sit in a place which is neither too high nor too low. You have to get kusha grass. You have to put a soft cloth on top of that. You have to get deer skin. You sit on it. And then you give up your material desires. You start looking at enemies and friends as equal. And stones and pebbles are the same. And they are the same as gold. You do all that kind of thing. And you have to be a brahmachari to do that. Right? So he says all that for Dhyana Yoga. So he's telling him, in Dhyana Yoga, right, you have to do this and this and this and this and this. He's telling him it is impossible to do that. And especially for us, because in Kali Yoga, we are always disturbed. Right? Upadrita, we are always disturbed. So it's very difficult for us to do meditation here. So he's setting the ground. So he's telling him very quietly in a nice way, well, you want to do Dhyana Yoga? These are the things that you do. And then Arjuna says, "O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you summarized appears impractical, unendurable. I cannot do that. For the mind is restless and unsteady." He's saying that, right? This is Arjuna. Which Arjuna? The Arjuna whose mind was so steady. When his teacher told him that, you go and aim at that bird sitting on the tree, and the teacher asked, "What do you see, Arjuna?" He says, "I only see the eye of the bird. That's all I see." That was the focus Arjuna had, right? Similarly, when he went, even more difficult, when he went to the Swamvar of Draupadi, right? There was a fish that was moving on the top. He had to see the reflection in the oil below and then aim and shoot on the top. How do you do that? So you can imagine that kind of concentration Arjuna had. And he is saying the mind is restless and unsteady. So what to talk about us? Right? We go to WhatsApp to write a message to somebody, and then we end up writing 16 messages to 16 people, then come back to Facebook, and then said, "Oops, but I went to WhatsApp to do something." And then we go back to WhatsApp again, and then we come back to Facebook again, and then there's Twitter, and there's Instagram, and YouTube. Yeah, so then he says, Chanchalam, he's then trying to emphasize, he says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadranam tasyaham nigaham manye vayuri vasuduskaram. So he says it's very difficult to control the mind. Very, very difficult. It's like, right? So now Arjuna is now totally and utterly confused. Krishna has given him, Sankhya Yoga. He has given him Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, 5th chapter, all the way 6th chapter, Dhyan. All of it he has shown, and now Arjuna is like, I cannot do it. I cannot do this also. So, but Krishna's, one of the teaching techniques is that he will empathize with Arjuna. Right? So he says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Manadu Nigriham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. So Lord Krishna then he said that, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. So he's empathizing. He's not saying, Klabyam masmagama partha, which he said in the second verse. He didn't say that now. He's now saying he's a disciple. The guru loves the disciple, right? So he's a disciple. He's saying that, yes, I agree. He doesn't say that, you don't know, you nonsense man. I am God, I'm telling you. He doesn't say that. He agrees, empathizes, and immediately says, yes, I know it is difficult. But then he gives the solution also. Abhyasena, you just practice, and vairagena, try to get some detachment from material activities that take you away from Krishna. He's not saying give up all material activities, just give up material activities that take you away from Krishna, like that, right? Then he gives a demonstration, right? When you're teaching something, you have to give a demonstration, right? So before he gives a demonstration, he's telling him about the opulence of the Absolute, right? Which chapter is that? Chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, right? In chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 shlokas, 8, 9, 10, and 11, which are known as the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. If you understand these 4 shlokas, you understood the whole of Bhagavad Gita. And the first verse there says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sartir pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha matta sarvam pravartate. Right? So he says, from me everything comes out. I am the creator of everything. He says that, right? And then he keeps on coming with more and more metaphors, right? Among the elephants, I am the lion. Among the animals, I am the among the elephants, I am Eravat, right? Like that. And then other similes he gives. Among the horses, I am Ucheshrava. Among cheating, I am gambling, and all that. He keeps on all that, right? But then in the end, he just says, Arjun, what need is there, Arjuna, for me to tell you all this thing, right? Because with just a tiny spark of myself, I create this entire universe. He's talking about his majesty over there, right? So, buddy, you talked about so much. Show us, right? So then he shows his universal form, that 11th chapter. That's the demo he gives, right? And the demo has got an impact on Arjuna. He said, Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha tejo rashim sarvato deeptimantam pasyami tvam durniriksham samantat deepantanalar kadvitim aprameyam. So he says, I see your crown, and I see this, and I see the Kumaras, all many verses he says that, right? Arjuna says that. And then Arjuna realizes something, right? And what he says that, thinking you as my friend. He said, I just thought that you were my friend, and I treated you like that. Because once he sees the universal form, he realizes that Krishna is God. So that transformation has happened from the demonstration. Any doubts which were there are all gone now. Right? He says that from a teacher, now Krishna has become God. Now he's become the subject matter expert, right? Now he's going to listen with more rapt attention. So now Krishna can go and see chapter 12, devotional service, chapter 13, nature, enjoyer, body, kshetra, chittagya, 14, modes of material nature, 15, how to get to the personality of Godhead, 16, demoniac nature, 17, divisions of faith, and then 18, he will conclude like that there, right? So then, after telling him all this, about this material world, then he checks for understanding. It's also a technique of teaching. If you just teach and go away, don't ask any questions, then, you will not know whether the person understood or not. He checks for understanding. So he says, Kachit echach chutam partha dvayagrena chetasa kachit ajnana sammohaha pranastaste dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Dear devotees, have you heard this with attentive mind? There'll be questions. Right? So he's asking that question, have you heard it? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled? Because if they are not dispelled, then he will tell some more. Like that. So he's checking it. Now, when you teach somebody, there is checking. Then there is also testing for the understanding. The test doesn't come in Bhagavad Gita. The test comes in the war, right? And he is successful in the war, we know that, right? But he's just checking here for the understanding. And then he gives Arjuna the free will to choose. Right? After telling him everything, everything there, he says, Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram maya vimishratyet asheshena yatechasi tatha kuru. Anybody wants to read this?
Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Right? This is such an important thing, and this is what Krishna has given to all of us. He has given us the free will to do whatever you want. He explained everything, right? In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the last verse, what does he say? You are doing Chad. Today is the last day of the Chad, chapter 9. Last verse, what does it say? Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame veshyasi yuktevyam atmanam madparayanaha. So, Krishna is God, right? And he tolerated Arjuna in the first chapter, didn't say anything. He knows the past, present, and the future. He knows what Arjuna is going to do, but he's tolerating. He's being a good friend. And then when Arjuna is, still not going a little bit hokey pokey, he scolds him, right? But then in chapter 9, he's just, he's saying, look here, I am God. Man mana mad bhakto, become my bhakta. Madhyaji mam namaskuru, pay obeisances to me. You can imagine if I were to come and say, hey, everybody, pay obeisances to me. You're like, what's wrong? But he's God. He can say that, and he should say that, right? So he said all that, but in the end, he gave still the choice to Arjuna not to do it, right? And then Arjuna, what does Arjuna say? Karishyami tava vachaha. I will do whatever you want me to do. Because now he has understood correctly. All his illusion has been dispelled. And he's standing in front of God. What else can he do? Like that, right? So to summarize the 10 teaching techniques that we talked about. So let's switch it off and ask you. Just kidding. Okay, so dialogue and discourse, right? Personalized guidance, metaphorical and symbolic language, exposition of spiritual knowledge spread across many chapters, practical advice, emphasis on teaching by example, teaching through impossibility, chapter 6, empathy, encouragement, and motivation. That's why he will call him Dhananjaya, Mahabaho. He says, Durnigham Mahabhano. He says, okay, I understand, it's difficult to control the mind, Mahabaho. But you are Mahabaho, you're powerful. You'll be able to do that, right? So he emphasizes, motivates him. Demonstration, universal form of the Lord. Check for understanding. And then gives him the free will to apply. So that brings me to the end of this presentation. Thank you for your participation. And we'll open up for your reflections and any questions that you have here. We still have a few minutes, I think 4 minutes to be precise. Anything that struck your mind about Arjuna and Krishna that was spoken today in the class? Oh, Anapaini is ready with her reflections.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I liked the part where you mentioned how the names Krishna used to call Arjuna were very intentional, and I like that explanation of the name Kaunteya and how it showed the strong heritage, but also showed that we are cousins, so the friendly relationship they have.
Nice, thank you. Anything else? Any other questions? If no questions, then we will spend at least a minute doing what we love doing, which is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Okay, let's chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so now you're going to take our chanting to the next level, okay? So I want you to close your eyes, okay? While you're chanting, don't look here and there. I'll keep my eyes open. Okay? Close your eyes, and then as you're chanting, okay, try to be still, not move, okay? And relax, don't sit in a tight position. Have a relaxed body, okay? And then now you chant the names again, right? And this time you hear what you are chanting, okay? Just hear what you're chanting, okay? All right, we start again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so now we will get up and get ready for the Aarti. We see Hansapriya Mataji on the altar here today, so it's a good fortune. And so we'll just quickly take the mats and put them over there at the back, and the ladies will come on that side, and the gentlemen will go on that side, Matajis and Prabhus. And do we know who's singing the Aarti? Hansapriya, do we know who's singing the Aarti? Okay, so Niharika, oh, fun, wonderful, okay. Thank you so much, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Prabhupada ki jai.
ki bajayo
Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Sata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Sata Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishu Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narasingaya Namaste Narasingaya की, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On behalf of ISKCON of Silicon Valley, we would like to welcome each and every one of you to today's Sunday Feast program. Thank you everyone for joining us today. A big round of applause for each one of you. We would also like to welcome lots and lots of online viewers who are watching us remotely. So thank you for joining us. So today's Sunday Feast lecture was brought to us by Her Grace Shraddha Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Then Gaur Aarti Kirtan brought to us by Niharika. Thank you, Niharika. And Narsimha Dev prayers by Annapayani Bhakti. Thank you. Hare Krishna. We would also like to thank our broadcast team, single-handedly managed by His Grace Charu Nimai Prabhu, to bring all of us world-class broadcast. Thank you, Prabhu. A special note, not a note, but a special acknowledgement to any one of you who is visiting us for the first time. Is there anybody who is here coming for the first time? Thank you. Okay, there are lots of hands there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, so to welcome all the first-time visitors, let us all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once to bring all auspiciousness in their lives and thank them for visiting us. Everybody together. Hare Krishna. Thank you for visiting us, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. My name is Anantanitai Das, and I'll be very happy to help you. So today we have one sponsor for Sunday Feast. This sponsorship is coming from Vishakha Mahajan Mataji. She is sponsoring for the first birthday of Avyan. So do we have Mataji here? Avyan or his parents, Sneha Mataji or Ashwin Prabhu? Oh, okay. Please. So, Vishakha Mataji is sponsoring for Avyan's birthday, and Avyan happens to be son of her cousin, Ashwin Prabhu and Sneha Mataji. Please come in the front. It's a little embarrassing moment, but please come. And Vishakha Mataji also can join us to make them feel a little comfortable. So, who is Avyan? I'm joking. Of course. Avyan. And what's his name? Avyukt. Avyukt, you want to say something for your brother? Can you say happy birthday? Happy birthday. I'm sorry putting him on the spot. So, Ashwin Prabhu, Sneha Mataji, would you like to say something? Express your desire? We're grateful to be here today. Haribol. Thank you. Once again, happy birthday to Avyan. There's a little token of appreciation, Mahaprasad, Mangalarti Sweet. Actually, it's right behind you. Sorry for the wrong positioning. Here. So, should I give to Avyan? Will he take? Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna. So, do we have any announcements here? Okay, so I'll make one announcement. It's on behalf of Janmashtami planning team. So Janmashtami is coming soon, less than 2 months away. So if you would like to volunteer for any of the services during Janmashtami, and we'll need a lot of help for sure, please let me know. There is a sign-up sheet right near the exit. When you exit the temple, near the prasadam counter here, there's a sign-up sheet. It's a QR code, you can scan it and then it will take you to a Google form where you can sign up. Thank you for that. Now we will have cooks for today by Suvarna Gopika Mataji. Okay, so there is an announcement that we will have Harinam in Palo Alto coming Friday. Coming Friday, Harinam at Palo Alto. Please join us at 6:59 p.m. as early as you can.
So we had a big team of devotees today cooking special feast. We have cooked dahi chida for Paniyati festival. There is biryani and raita and mirchi ka salan. We had big team from Mountain House coming today. So the Gagandeep Mataji, Aniruddha Prabhu. We had Ankita Mataji. Then Ankita Mataji, Ashish Prabhu. Didi Mataji, Satyam Prabhu. Vaishali Mataji, she's sitting there. And yeah, please. Yeah, they were all the cooks who were cooking today. Anushri and Niharika helped us. Then Suyesh Prabhu, Neha Mataji, we had Vamsidhari Prabhu. He was also there for a long time. So it was a big team and we are grateful to everyone who helped in kitchen. And enjoy your feast. Thank you. Okay. The lead cook for today was Siddhakatha Prabhu.
Siddhakatha Prabhu and Suvarna Gopika Mataji, who was making the announcement herself. Exactly. Okay, so we'll go to the Prasadam prayers now. So after Prasadam prayers, we can head. Oh, someone lost their phone. Okay, someone lost their phone. It's with Charunimai Prabhu in the broadcast room, right in the back corner there. So if you are looking for your phone, reach out to him. Okay, so after Prasadam prayers, we will be serving Prasadam right outside. Okay, here we go. Thank you.
Sharira vidya jo hindiya tahe ka jive file vishaya sagore tamare jivayati lova vasudmati
Please come take Prashadam, and it will be served in the picnic area outside.